The first punch landed like a thunderclap, splitting my lip and sending me sprawling across the lecture hall floor. I was 18, a freshman at Willow Creek University, and I'd just told my Psych 101 study group I was gay. Ethan Caldwell, the golden boy jock with a smirk sharper than a blade, had decided my confession was his personal invitation to make my life hell. It was 2019, and Willow Creek, a liberal arts college in upstate New York, was supposed to be my safe haven. I'd grown up in a small town where whispers followed me like shadows, where being different felt like wearing a target. College was my escape, my chance to be Noah Harper, unapologetically. But Ethan, with his broad shoulders and cruel charisma, turned that dream into a nightmare. Freak, he spat that first day, his voice low but venomous, as the study group went silent. I tasted blood, wiped my mouth, and swore I'd never let him see me break. The next few weeks were a gauntlet. Ethan's taunts echoed in the hall, snide comments about my clothes, my voice, my existence. He'd shove me in passing, his buddies snickering like hyenas. I kept my head down, my heart pounding, telling myself I could outlast him. But every barb chipped away at the armor I'd built. I'd lie awake in my dorm, replaying his words, wondering why someone I barely knew hated me so much. Psych 101 became my personal battlefield, the one class we shared, where his glares burned holes through me. Yet, there were moments fleeting, confusing ones where Ethan's mask slipped. During a group project, I caught him staring, not with malice, but something softer, almost curious. His blue eyes lingered too long, and when I met his gaze, he looked away, jaw tight. I told myself it was nothing, just my imagination desperate for a reprieve. But those moments kept happening, like cracks in a dam, hinting at something hidden beneath his cruelty. By mid-semester, I'd found allies. Mia, a fierce art major with purple hair, and Sam, a quiet engineering student, became my anchors. They'd sit with me in the cafeteria, their laughter a shield against Ethan's crew. One day, Mia overheard Ethan muttering something about me and marched right up to him. "You're pathetic," she said, loud enough for the whole quad to hear. "Picking on someone for who they are. Grow up." Ethan's face reddened, but he didn't fire back. For the first time, he looked small. That night, I found a note slipped under my dorm door. Scrawled in messy handwriting, "Meet me at the library, 9 p.m. My stomach twisted. Was this a trap? A prank? Against my better judgment, I went. The library was quiet, the stacks casting long shadows. Ethan was there, alone, leaning against a bookshelf. No smirk, no posse. Just him, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "I'm sorry," he said, voice barely above a whisper. I laughed, bitter, thinking it was a joke. But his eyes were raw, unguarded. I don't know why he stopped, running a hand through his blonde hair. "I'm messed up. Okay. I don't hate you. I don't know what I feel." I stood there, frozen, my heart a war zone of anger and confusion. "You don't get to just say sorry," I snapped. "You made my life hell." He nodded, like he deserved every word. "I know," he said. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know." He walked away, leaving me with more questions than answers. That encounter shifted something. Ethan stopped targeting me, but he didn't disappear. He'd show up at the edges of my world, watching from across the lecture hall, lingering near my table in the library. I hated how my pulse quickened when I saw him, how my anger was starting to blur into something I couldn't name. I told Mia and Sam, expecting them to tell me I was crazy. "He's got issues," Mia said, "but maybe he's trying." Sam just shrugged. People change. Noah. Sometimes. By semester's end, Ethan approached me again, this time in the campus coffee shop. Can we talk? He asked, holding 2 cups of coffee, one extended toward me. I hesitated, then took it. We sat in a corner, the hum of the cafe wrapping around us. He told me about his dad, a man who drilled into him that weakness was failure, that being anything less than the perfect son was unacceptable. I took it out on you, he admitted, staring into his cup. You were free. I envied that. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream, to tell him his pain didn't excuse his actions. But another part saw the boy behind the bully, the one wrestling with demons I couldn't fully understand. I don't trust you, I said finally. But I'm listening. He nodded, a flicker of hope in his eyes. It was the first time I saw Ethan Caldwell as more than my tormentor. It was the first time I wondered if he could be something else. Spring semester brought a fragile truce. Ethan kept his distance, but his presence was a constant hum in my life. I'd catch him glancing at me during Psych 101, his expression unreadable. I told myself I didn't care, that I was done trying to decode him. But late at night, when the dorm was quiet, I'd replay our coffee shop talk, his words about envy and freedom looping in my mind. I threw myself into my studies, determined to carve out a place at Willow Creek that wasn't defined by Ethan's shadow. Mia and Sam were my lifelines, dragging me to art gallery openings and late-night study sessions. But Ethan was always there, on the fringes. One day, I found him volunteering at the campus LGBTQ+ center, stacking flyers for a pride event. He froze when he saw me, like a kid caught somewhere he shouldn't be. I'm just helping out, he mumbled, avoiding my eyes. Why? I asked, sharper than I meant. He shrugged, but there was weight in it. Felt like I owed it. I didn't push, but the sight of him there, awkward and out of place, stuck with me. It was the first time I saw him try to be more than the guy who'd hurt me. By April, Psych 101 paired us for a project on social behavior. I wanted to scream at the irony, but there we were, stuck together. We met in the library, tension thick as fog. Ethan was different, quieter, careful with his words. He didn't apologize again, but he listened when I spoke, asked questions, even laughed once, a sound so unguarded it startled me. I hated how it made my chest tighten. We started meeting more, not just for the project. He'd bring coffee, I'd bring sarcasm, and slowly, the air between us softened. One night, he told me about his mom, who'd left when he was 10, and how he'd spent years trying to be the son his dad wanted. I thought if I was tough, it'd fix everything, he said, staring at the floor. It didn't. I shared pieces of my own story growing up in a town where I hid who I was, the relief of coming out, the fear that followed. He listened, really listened, and for the first time, I felt seen by him, not as a target, but as a person. When our project got an A, he grinned, a real smile, and said, "We make a good team, Harper." I rolled my eyes, but I couldn't hide my smile. The semester ended with a campus festival. Mia dragged me to it, and there was Ethan, manning a booth for the LGBTQ+ center. He waved me over, shy but determined. "I'm trying to get it right," he said, handing me a rainbow pin. I took it, my fingers brushing his, and something electric passed between us. I pulled back, heart racing, telling myself it was nothing. But as I walked away, pin in my pocket, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting. Summer came, and I stayed on campus for a research internship. Ethan went home to Connecticut, but he texted me random things, like a photo of his dog or a dumb meme. I responded, cautious but curious. One night, he called. "I miss you," he said, voice soft. I laughed it off, but my heart was pounding. "You're just bored," I teased. He didn't laugh. "No, Noah. I mean it." I didn't know what to say. The bully from Psych 101 was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized. But trust was a fragile thing, and I wasn't ready to hand it over. "Prove it," I said finally. "Show me you mean it." He was quiet for a long moment. "I will," he promised. And somehow, I believed he might. Sophomore year hit like a tidal wave. Classes were harder. My internship had me buried in data, and Ethan was back on campus, closer than ever. His texts over the summer had become a lifeline I hadn't expected, each one a small step towards something I was scared to name. But seeing him in person, leaning against the Psych building with that same nervous energy, made it real. We started hanging out, not just for class, but because we wanted to. Study sessions turned into late-night walks across campus, talking about everything: music, dreams, the weight of our pasts. He told me about his dad's relentless pressure, how it had shaped him into someone he didn't like. "I was angry," he said one night, kicking a pebble across the quad. "You were an easy target." "I'm sorry, Noah." "Every day? I'm sorry." I wanted to stay mad, to hold on to the hurt, but his sincerity was disarming. I told him about my own scars, the years spent hiding, the fear of never being enough. He listened, his hand brushing mine as we walked, and I didn't pull away. It felt like a risk, but one I was starting to take. One night, we ended up at the lake on campus, stars reflecting on the water. Ethan was quieter than usual, his hands stuffed in his pockets. "I need to tell you something," he said, voice shaky. My stomach dropped, bracing for the worst. "I'm figuring myself out," he said. I think I like you. More than I should." The words hung between us, heavy and raw. I stared at him, the boy who'd once made me bleed, now looking like he was the one breaking. "Ethan," I said, my voice barely steady, "you don't get to just say that. Not after everything." He nodded, eyes on the ground. "I know. I don't expect anything. I just had to be honest." I walked away that night, my mind a storm. Part of me wanted to run, to protect myself from whatever this was. But another part, the louder one, wanted to stay, to see if he could be more than his past. Mia, ever the skeptic, warned me to be careful. "He's got a lot to prove," she said. Sam just smiled. "You're both figuring it out. That's okay." By midterms, we were inseparable, but I kept my guard up. Ethan was trying showing up to Pride events, calling out his old friends when they made dumb comments. But trust was a slow build, and I wasn't ready to let go of my walls. One day, he showed up at my dorm with a mixtape actual burned CDs, like we were in the 2000s. "Songs that make me think of you," he said, blushing. I laughed, but I listened to it later, alone, and felt my heart crack open. Thanksgiving break loomed, and Ethan invited me to his hometown. "No pressure," he said, but his eyes were hopeful. I said yes, telling myself it was just a weekend. But as we drove through Connecticut's quiet streets, his hand resting on the gear shift inches from mine, I knew I was falling. And that scared me more than anything. Connecticut was a different world. Ethan's hometown was all picket fences and manicured lawns, but his house felt cold, like a museum of expectations. His dad, a stern man with a handshake like a vice, sized me up the second I walked in. "So, you're the friend," he said, the word dripping with suspicion. Ethan tensed beside me, but I smiled. refusing to flinch. Over dinner, the tension was palpable. Ethan's dad grilled him about football, grades, his future, every question a test. I saw the boy I'd come to know shrink, his confidence replaced by a quiet deference. Later, in his childhood room, he apologized. "He's always like this," he said, staring at a faded poster on the wall. I thought I could handle it. I reached for his hand, a small rebellion against the weight of that house. "You're not him," I said. "You don't have to be." He looked at me, eyes searching, and for the first time, he leaned in. The kiss was tentative, like he was asking permission, and I answered by pulling him closer. It was messy, imperfect, but it felt like truth. Back on campus, everything shifted. We were together, not just friends, but something more, something fragile and new. Ethan was all in, holding my hand in the quad, sitting with me at Pride meetings, his old crew fading into the background. But the world wasn't as kind. Whispers followed us, and I saw the toll it took on him. One night, he got a call from his dad, who'd heard rumors. "He told me I'm a disappointment," Ethan said, voice hollow. I held him, promising we'd face it together. Winter break came, and we stayed on campus, the empty dorms our own little world. We cooked terrible meals, watched bad movies, and talked about the future. Ethan wanted to be a counselor, to help kids like us who felt lost. I wanted to write, to tell stories that mattered. For the first time, I let myself believe we could build something real. But reality crept in. Ethan's dad cut him off financially, furious about us. Ethan took it hard, working late shifts at a diner to stay in school. I helped where I could, but I saw the strain in his eyes. "I'm not giving you up," he said one night, fierce and stubborn. I believed him, but fear lingered. Love was new, and the world was still sharp. Junior year tested us. Ethan was juggling 2 jobs and classes, his energy stretched thin. I was buried in my own work, writing for the campus paper, trying to keep up. But we carved out time for each other: late-night coffee runs, stolen moments in the library. Every touch, every laugh, felt like a victory against the world. Campus wasn't always kind. We got stares, some curious, some cruel. Ethan handled it better than I expected, brushing off comments with a shrug or a quick retort. But I saw the hurt he hid, the way he'd clench his jaw when someone whispered "fag" as we passed. I wanted to protect him, but I was still learning how to protect myself. One night, we went to a party off campus, a rare break from our chaos. The music was loud, the air thick with sweat and beer. Ethan was lighter, dancing with me like no one was watching. But someone was. A guy from his old crew, drunk and angry, cornered us. "You're a disgrace, Caldwell," he slurred. Ethan stepped in front of me, his voice steady. "Walk away, man." The guy swung, and Ethan took the hit, his lip bleeding before he pushed back, ending it. We left, shaken but together. In my dorm, I cleaned the blood from his face, my hands trembling. "I'm okay," he said, but his eyes were distant. "I just want to be enough for you." I kissed him, fierce and certain. "You are." That night, we held each other, the world outside fading. I knew then I loved him, even if I wasn't ready to say it. Spring brought new challenges. Ethan's grades slipped, and he was put on academic probation. His dad's voice was in his head, telling him he'd fail. I pushed him to keep going, helping him study, dragging him to tutoring. Slowly, he clawed his way back. One day, he showed up with a single daisy, tucking it behind my ear. "For sticking with me," he said. I smiled, my heart full, but worry lingered. Love was strong, But life was relentless. Senior year was a blur of deadlines and dreams. Ethan and I were solid. Our love a quiet strength against the chaos. We'd moved into a tiny off-campus apartment, our first real home. It was cramped, with leaky pipes and a couch we'd found on the curb. But it was ours. We'd cook dinner, argue over dishes, and fall asleep tangled together, the world feeling conquerable. But the past wasn't done with us. Ethan's dad showed up unannounced, his face a storm cloud. "You're throwing your life away," he said, ignoring me. Ethan stood tall, his voice steady. "I'm living it, Dad." For the first time. His dad left, slamming the door, and Ethan broke down. I held him, whispering that he was enough, that we were enough. Graduation loomed, and with it, uncertainty. I'd gotten a writing internship in Boston. Ethan was applying to grad schools, hoping to become a counselor. The future felt like a tightrope, but we walked it together. We spent nights planning, dreaming of a life where we could be free, where love didn't have to fight so hard to survive. One evening, Ethan took me to the lake where he'd confessed his feelings. He was nervous, fidgeting with something in his pocket. "I've been thinking," he said, pulling out a small ring, simple and silver. "It's not a proposal, not yet. Just a promise that I'm in this, no matter what." My throat tightened, and I nodded, slipping the ring on. "Me too," I whispered. We kissed under the stars, and for once, the world felt kind. The weeks before graduation were a whirlwind. Ethan got into a counseling program in New York, and I was set for Boston. The distance scared us, but we swore we'd make it work. We spent every moment together, savoring the time. Mia and Sam threw us a party, toasting to the couple who survived Psych 101. Ethan laughed, his arm around me, and I felt like we'd won something bigger than we could name. But life had one last test. Ethan's dad sent a letter, disowning him completely. It hit hard, but Ethan didn't break. "I've got you," he said, squeezing my hand. "That's my family now." I wanted to believe it was enough, but I saw the pain he carried, the weight of a father's rejection. We kept moving forward. Ethan worked with the LGBTQ+ Center, mentoring younger students, while I wrote articles about identity and love. We were building something, not just for us, but for others. One night, he told me he wanted to start a support group for kids like him, kids raised to hide who they were. "You showed me I could be more," he said. I kissed him, proud and overwhelmed. As graduation neared, I felt the weight of our journey. The boy who'd hurt me had become the man who loved me, who fought for me. I wasn't the scared freshman anymore, either. We'd grown together, through pain and forgiveness, into something real. Graduation day was chaos, gaps flying, families cheering, the air thick with possibility. I walked across the stage, my heart pounding, searching the crowd for Ethan. I hadn't seen him all morning. He'd said he had something to do. As I stepped off, diploma in hand, I saw him. He stood at the edge of the field, holding a bouquet of wildflowers, his smile nervous but bright. I froze, the world narrowing to just us. He walked toward me, ignoring the crowd, and handed me the flowers. "I told you I'd prove it," he said, voice thick with emotion. "I'm here, Noah. Always." Tears stung my eyes as I pulled him into a hug, the flowers crushed between us. The boy who'd once broken me was now the man who'd helped me heal. We stood there, surrounded by chaos, but all I felt was him. The journey from Psych 101 to this moment had been brutal, beautiful, and ours. We'd faced hate, fear, and doubt, but we'd also found love, forgiveness, and hope. As we walked off the field, hand in hand, I knew we'd face whatever came next together. Years later, I'd write our story, not just for us, but for every kid who felt like they didn't belong. Ethan would read it, his ring still on my finger, and say, "You made us sound like heroes." I'd laugh and kiss him. We are